Anthony Field has a very recognisable face, identifiable in most countries around the globe. To children, and at least 2 generations of parents, he's better known as the Blue Wiggle. Before that, Anthony played in a rock band with his brothers while studying early childhood education at Macquarie University. That's where the magic happened before the Wiggles went on to conquer the world. Welcome, Dr. Anthony Field, and thank you for inviting us into the Wiggles studio. We know it all started at Macquarie. How did it start?
Well, it started at Macquarie University. I had a funny way to get into the Institute of Early Childhood Studies. I was in the army for 3 years, the regular army, and I got out and I didn't know what I wanted to do. My sister, Alice, she wanted to be an early childhood teacher. So she said they're doing the mature age test, and I said, I'll drive you down there. And I said, I'll do it as well. So I did the, and I got in, and Alice got in. Alice stayed 5 days and said it's not for her. And I went, I think I'm going to stay. So I got into it by accident. And as it went on, I loved the philosophy, what it was all about.
Did you feel like you were breaking barriers and paving the way for men that would come after you in this field?
There was a part of our course which really said a lot, and it was called There's a Man in Our Classroom. And that was because over 100 years or so of the Institute of Early Childhood Studies, which became Macquarie, there was only 3 men who'd graduated. And it was a real culture shock that we were out there. There was myself, Murray, Greg, a couple other boys, and we were really outnumbered. Part of There's a Man in the Classroom was about us protecting ourselves, to be above suspicion, and those management skills we learnt there have helped us. That was very important, that the Wiggles came along and were early childhood trained and gave a positive spin for men entertaining children. Murray and myself taught for 2 years, which was fantastic.
So tell me about how you all met at Macquarie.
Yeah, I met Murray early on. I was playing a guitar in the common room. And Murray came over and he said, "Oh, you're in a band." He knew that I was in a band. And I asked, and he was in a band at the time too, called the Finger Guns, which kind of means, I don't know, that didn't come from there, but that's funny. So that's how we became friends. And Murray was a very, very smart student at Macquarie, and he came from the taxation department. I came from the army, he came from the taxation department. Greg was a roadie I had a band, I was in a band, the Cockroaches, rock and roll band. And Greg was our roadie, but he was a very smart kid. And I said, why don't you try early childhood?
You recruited?
I recruited him in. And there was only 2 other men in our year, but it was a lot of fun. Probably not well known, but when I was teaching preschool, I applied to do an audition for play school. And I went and did the audition for play school. But I'm really not a singer. I play music. I really struggle with singing, and I make no secret of that. And I got a call back, and then they said, "Oh no, singing's not just right." And I went, "Okay, fair enough." And Ricky Tesla, who's our co-teacher, I said, "Ricky," she said, "Yeah, but you inspire the kids with your enthusiasm. So why don't you get a singer with you?" And that's when I sort of went, right, let's get a super group together. But that's when I called Greg and Murray. Luckily, Greg had this most beautiful voice. We had another mate of ours who graduated, Kylie Leslie, and she had a play centre in Randwick, and we rang her up. We put a little show together, said, "Can we go and do a show there?" And then we were hooked. So it wasn't about people telling it was actually just putting on a little theatre and education show, and it just hooked us. We've got to do this more. This is it.
Play school's lost, the Wiggles gain.
Yeah, I think Play School were better off without me, and I think it's an amazing show.
How much of an inspiration for the Wiggles came from that time at Macquarie?
Everything came from Macquarie University. The education we received at Macquarie University, how to incorporate music at a level that preschoolers will respond to, language we used in songs, management skills, how to, I guess, encourage children to be themselves, to do the best they can. We were encouraged at the university to show that we weren't gender stereotyped, so we danced, we encouraged boys to dance. We couldn't have done this without Macquarie University and some of the brilliant teachers we had. Rosemary Hall was our music teacher, and Rosemary was kind of eccentric, but she inspired me with her love of folk music and children's music from around the world and from different times. So she showed me that you could take a nursery rhyme from 300 years ago and it can still be interesting for a child because children haven't changed, and her thing was, this is the first time they're hearing these. She also had a puppet named Bock, and for half the class, Rosemary would speak to us as Bock. You've got to believe. And we did. When we were speaking to Bock, we were speaking to Bock. Now, terrible thing happened, and I admit this. Anthony Boddy and me, another guy who graduated, we kidnapped Bock for a short time and took Bock around Europe. And when he came back, Rosemary was very happy. We sent postcards, but she knew it was us, but it was a terrible thing to do. We've incorporated in our last TV series a puppet, and it's a tribute to Rosemary. Its name is Bock. He said it smells like sunflower.
How did you allocate the colours?
The colours was a real accident. We were just wearing shirts, and I think we all thought children aren't identifying us with these just different patterns on the shirts. So let's go for colours, which helps them identify colours. And if they don't know our name, they'll know the red one. I like red, or I like the blue one, or I like the yellow one, or I really love the purple one.
Fantastic. And why the Wiggles name? Where did that come from?
It came from a song we wrote really early called Get Ready to Wiggle, because children really just wiggle at the start, you know. It's.
Do you think education is a good career choice for men?
Early childhood education is a great choice for men. It's a great choice for our society. I came out of the army, which was all about testosterone, you know, weapons, all sorts of stuff. And I landed in heaven, where a place where weapons were banned in the preschool. I think it's great for men to get in touch with that gentler side and encourage other boys need to see adult men doing roles that are supposedly just for women, you know, so they'll love it if it's right for them.
In 2009, you were given honorary doctorates. What did it mean to you to get that honorary doctorate?
Oh, it was a great honour and a responsibility. I remember some of the great lecturers at uni. I remember Judy Kroll at Macquarie came up to us and said, we trained you up and now you're leaving us, but we've kind of worked out it's a bigger classroom now. You know, I always mention Macquarie because I know what we just wouldn't be here without the knowledge Macquarie University gave. It's a fantastic course, the early childhood course. It's so empowering to adults and to the children.
In how many countries are the Wiggles a household name? You know, tell me about how big you are today around the world.
Well, the Wiggles have been commercially absolutely massive at one stage. In the 2000s in America, we sold 13 Madison Square Garden. We sold it out 13 times. We played to 1 million people every 8 months. It was out of control. We were on the Disney Channel 4 times a day. We were in Asia, the UK, Canada, United Arab Emirates, a little part of Africa, and Australia, New Zealand. So we're still doing all right. So, you know, it's always there, just entertainment goes up and down,
Yes.
up and down.
But do you have a sense that when you walk into a supermarket that people say, you know, do you see them whispering, oh, there's Anthony, you know, I know that's Anthony Wiggle?
They do. Do you know, When I walk around, people laugh, and I like that. Like they go, hey, that's the Wiggle guy, and it brings a smile to their face or a laugh, and mainly that's what we get. And for 20-year-olds, 25-year-olds, they come up to us and say, "You're a part of my childhood, a really good part of my childhood." That feels good. Jeff in Hong Kong totally took us by surprise. We were walking along in Hong Kong, and a car pulls up of locals, and they yelled out, "Wake up, Jeff." It was great. Drive by, wake up, Jeff.
Tell me about some of the celebrities who've come to, bring their kids or grandkids along.
Yeah, and that's when the celebrities came. We didn't get a big head. We always thought, well, they're fathers. We had Chris Rock come. He's a really good guy. We met Jerry Seinfeld. He came to quite a few shows with his wife and children. Shaquille O'Neal came and got on stage and played guitar on Hot Potato. We had Robert De Niro, manager, called us up. We were playing the Beacon Theatre in New York, and this is very Robert De Niro. His manager said, "Bobby's running late. Can you hold the show for 10 minutes?"
Did you?
We didn't, but we thought about it. There was surreal moments.
It's a very physical job. How grueling can those shows be?
Well, I guess it depends how much you put into it. Murray was our guitar player on stage for so long, and when Murray left, I became the guitar player, and I realised he had the easiest job. So I'm really a lot better off than I was, where I was doing all the actions.
So keeping up with the young ones, you don't feel that pressure to keep up with the young ones?
I'm sort of here with the fitness, but I'd like to be there. But you've got to be fit and you've got to look after yourself.
The lineup continues to change without much interruption to business. Were you worried about that at the beginning?
Originally, Jeff, Murray and Greg and I, we just want to retire, and I just didn't want to. I wanted to keep going. So in 2012, I recruited Emma, Simon and Lockie, and I really wanted Yellow Wiggle to be a woman. We've had an amazing time. The last couple of years, I really felt we have to become diverse. Our audience is not being reflected. Now, when we first started, we had Jeff, who was proud Asian Australian, and we got so much positive feedback from the Asian community that Jeff was probably the most recognisable Asian heritage person in Australia. So coming up last year, and we are a business, but I just said to everybody in the business, we have to diversify to reflect our audience. I'm very proud that we've done it. The Wiggles can always change, because as long as the ethos stays the same. Children, we have a new audience every 3.5 years, so their Wiggles will be Sahai, Evie and Kelly, Katarina, and all of us guys. Yeah, and the old guy.
What is it that the legacy that Anthony Field leaves with the creation of the Wiggles?
I just hope we can still, in that little way, be part of positive influence on children, make them feel good about themselves.
Thank you so very much,
No worries,
Anthony. It's been beautiful talking to you
today.
today.
So.